Hi, everyone. My name is Michelle Mowdy. I'm an SAP Developer Advocate, and welcome to Devtoberfest 2025. Today, I am here with Mark Fogel
Hi,
and
everyone. My name is Michelle Mowdy.
Bill Froelich, and today they are going to be presenting on Build mobile solutions with advanced scanning using SAP Build. All right, guys, take it away.
Great, thanks. I'm Bill Froelich. I'm a development expert here at SAP on the mobile development team, and I'm joined by Mark. And let's go ahead and dive into the session here. So let me go ahead and get sharing going. All right. So welcome to the session. And as I said, I'm Bill Froelich. Today we'll be taking a look at some advanced scanning solutions scenarios using both the SAP BTP native Android SDK and the mobile development kit. Before we get started building the applications, we have just a couple slides to share here. This first slide here is the SAP Business Suite in a slide. The Business Suite meets 80 to 90% of your business needs, but as always, there may be some parts that are very specific to your business processes. To help with that and to help you address those, we have what we call SAP Build. SAP Build is part of the business technology platform and provides you tooling to create your own applications and extensions, create workflows and automations, build and work with AI agents to improve productivity for both your developers and your business users, create digital workspaces using WorkZone to share and collaborate with colleagues, both using pro-code and low-code solutions. Additionally, it's also where SAP and our partners deliver pre-built line of business solutions on top of BTP. All this together gives you the tooling to create and extend and manage your business suite, to customize that to everything you need to do. Today, we're going to dive deeper into the apps and extensions section to see how you can build mobile applications using the advanced scanning within the apps. So to create our applications, we're going to use the SAP Mobile Services, which helps our designers and developers, as well as the administrators, more efficiently create and manage the applications. It provides us centralized, reusable components to help accelerate our application development, including both the native SAP BTP SDKs for iOS and Android, as well as the MDK SDK for cross-platform development. All of the SDKs leverage the mobile services components and UI controls, as well as following the Fiori design guidelines to give you a consistent experience across all of your applications. So from a component perspective there on the right, you can see the different components, highlighting a couple of them in particular offline for building up our mobile applications when we may have spotty or no connectivity, push notifications when we need to alert users to important information, logging, crash reporting, tracing, as well as the security and authentication provided through mobile services. So all of these components work together with the SDKs to give you an efficient and performant application. So we're going to start off today with the Android SDK. So I'm going to turn it over now to Mark, who's going to take you through building an Android SDK application with advanced scanning. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing, Mark, and take it away.
Great, thanks, Bill. Yeah, so my name is Mark Fogel. I'm a senior architect with the SAP BTP SDK for Android team, working out of the San Francisco Bay area. And I'm going to talk a bit about, first, just a little overview on what the Android SDK is and what it does. So we're about 10 years or so into this exercise now. yeah, as Bill mentioned, we have native SDKs for Android, iOS, and for Android, we're talking, we have both a view-based MDC SDK. That's the more mature of the two, and then we have also Jetpack Compose, which is where most of our new development is taking place these days. So what I'm going to focus on here is Jetpack Compose. Also wanted to give a shout out to our design team. So there's a whole design website on SAP Design System, Fiori Design Android, where you can learn more about the UI components, which is actually the team that I work on specializes in the UI components. So there's a full SAP Fiori Design System with everything you would expect from a modern design system, including a full suite of components for constructing business apps. Wherever possible, we try to stick to Android M3 material design. But for example, there's features such as data table, cards and layouts where we're supplying additional business value on top of what's already available from Android M3. So let's dive right into creating a new app. So this basic view should be familiar to any Android developer, but what we have with the Android SDK is also a wizarded experience for creating an application specifically for SAP BTP mobile services. So what I've got here are the parameters for connecting into my mobile services instance. And this is already populated with a number of apps that we use for internal development. So I'm going to just select one for this exercise. And then along with that, because we're on SAP BTP, we have a number of data destinations. So anybody who's done any OData development in the last 15 years or so will be familiar with the Northwind database. So that's what we're going to use as our sample database. And let's just give this a useful name. And we used to support Java and Kotlin. Now we're Kotlin only. And we do still have the ability to create view-based apps, but in this case, we're going to be working with Jetpack Compose. I won't go into the rest of these parameters, but these highlight some of the other mobile services capabilities, such as logging, usage reporting, crash reporting, and push. But we're just going to keep those at the default for this demo. So this will now go off and spin for a bit, create a sample app. We will not require Gemini's assistance for this one. And so this is going to do kind of initial build, which is going to let it recognize that this is, in fact, an Android project. While we're waiting on that, I'll go talk a little bit about the devices we're going to be using today, as well as some of the capabilities. So the main capability we're going to be using is the laser scanner capability. So this is an example of the value add that the SAP BTP SDK for Android brings to the table. So we work with a number of third-party scanner devices. The first one we're going to be looking at here is called the ProGlove. This is really great for rapid scanning at about a medium distance, as you will see just how fast it is. So let's go back over here and see how our app is doing. Looks like it now recognizes that it is an Android app. So I've got a Google Pixel 8 hooked up here. So let's just go ahead and launch the default app. So this is just the default experience. It's going to take a few seconds to build here, but this is just this will be the out of the box wizard experience, where what it's done is it's gone and generated a set of data objects that will actually It's got all the OData the representation of all the OData objects here for the Northwind database. This is going to go ahead and build that out, and we'll get a full UI displaying all of the elements in that database. While we're waiting for that, we can go talk a little bit more about the laser scanner. So we're going to just need to add some basic initialization logic once the initial app build is done, and then that will enable our laser scanner for use in our little simulated warehouse that I've got set up over here. And Android Studio does sometime take its sweet time in doing things. All right. Looks like we should be good to go. Go ahead and log in with the demo account. And as always, I got it wrong the first time. And do a real quick passcode. Notifications, and here's just our standard vanilla UI. So here's everything in the Northwind database. What we're going to be looking at here is products. So there's just a collection of the typical products you might see in an office supply. So how do we go about enabling this for laser scanners? So let's take a look at what's involved with that. So the first thing we need to do is we're going to need to add a couple of libraries that enable both the detection of the laser scanner as well as the UI controls that we're going to use. So I'll add those to our library collection. Here's a collection of all the different libraries that we typically use with the BTP SDK for Android project. So we add the libraries, and then we're going to need to add those as dependencies to our app as well. And then hopefully this Gradle sync will run faster than that build did. All right, looks like we're good. So then we're going to need to add some initialization at the application level. What this is going to do is it's going to go out and check for any scanner devices that we might have hooked up, as well as set up a default scanner profile. So here's where we go out and request scanner status. That's going to discover any scanners we have hooked up, and then this is going to create the profile for the scanner. So remember this intent output action, flow action, because that's going to be important a little bit later on. I'm also going to need the logic to actually detect the scan and do something with it. So this is a little more involved. I'll walk through this. So where I want to add this is on that screen where we were looking at all the products. I'll take a moment to resolve all of the dependencies. Not sure what's going on there. And this one it always has trouble with because it's ambiguous. All right, so all the red lines are gone. So what we did here is we added so the way everything works with the laser scanner is it sends, in all of the different laser scanner cases, it sends a kind of we've come up with a common intent that all of them use. So if you're an application developer, you don't have to worry about which scanner you're hooked up to. Just all the scanners that we support send out the same intent. So once we get that intent, we're going to pick up the barcode out of it. If it's not null, which it shouldn't be, then it's going to proceed, take that barcode and check it against the product ID of every product in that list. So I'll go ahead and rebuild and launch this. And it should, once it's launched, we'll see it relaunch here in just a second. And while we're waiting, I'm going to start getting ready for my shift in the warehouse. So we'll start up here first with the ProGlove. This is a device. This is made for rapid scanning of barcodes, as you'll see. And let me see if I can switch over to my warehouse camera. I think I need to get rid of my background. There we go. Fortunately, that means you can't see my screen. One moment here. I'll try and get my screen on camera. So the first thing I need to do is actually pair up my ProGlove with my Android device. All right, we're connected. And hopefully everyone can see my screen. I'll go back to this in the actual screen in a second. So we're going to switch back to the app, which is now launched. And as you can see, I've got a number of products here on the table representing returns. So if I just point the laser, it's a pretty instantaneous scan. So you see here I've scanned 789, and that has brought up product 789. This is a single scanning device. There we get product 742. Hopefully that's visible. And then there in the back, we've got product 790. It's a pretty small package for a camcorder, but that's what I had to work with. All right, so coming back to my screen again. I guess I could have done that. Huh? So that was the what we get with the application with single scan. But what we want to do, what the next device we're going to be looking at is the Samsung. It's called the Samsung Galaxy X Cover 6 Pro. There's actually a 7 Pro out now, but we're, for this demo, we're still working with the 6 Pro. So this is it's basically a standard Android phone, but with a lot of ruggedized capabilities and a lot of enterprise capabilities, specifically around the Samsung Knox software line. So in this case, what we're going to be working with is I'll switch over to my X Cover 6. Get a few things out of the way here. So the specific capability we're going to be working with is called Knox Capture. But before I set up Knox Capture, I want to enable my application for multi-barcode scanning. So that's another feature of the barcode scanning integration we have in the Android SDK. And because this is the latter half of 2025, and it just would not be a software demo without some vibe coding, we're gonna try our hand with that live. And of course, it's AI, so let's see what we get. But I've got a prompt here I've been having pretty good luck with. So we're going to say if we encounter multiple barcodes, instead of going to the item detail, go ahead and populate a data query filter with the barcodes and apply it to the view model. Don't worry about providing a way to clear the filter. Otherwise, it's going to try and write that feature. Also, do not remove the current behavior where encountering a single barcode will navigate directly to the item detail. So we want to preserve the existing capability and add in the ability to scan multi-barcodes. So let's see how it does. I'll give it a couple minutes, and if it can't comply, then I'll switch over to the pre-baked demo, but it's going out and looking at the product entities screen, which is good. And this is using C-Line on top of Claude 4 Opus. So this is like one of the top of the line experiences from Anthropic right now. Finds the existing barcode implementation. And now it's going to try and figure out how to track multiple barcodes. It found the data query that it's going to need to use to run the filter. Found the update filter method, which is key here. Found the product ID, that's good. The ability to create a filter. So what's going to be key here is that it actually find, oh, I realized I'm still sharing the warehouse camera. All right, looks like it's now about ready to go ahead and create the code. So we're getting to the end here. Not quite sure what it's waiting on here. Oh, I guess it's still spinning. Well, that's more than I expected, but yeah, let's give it a shot. Yeah, looks like it's hallucinating there. I'll give it one chance to fix it. think we're running out of time here, but I'll give it one shot to correct it. I think we're going to have to bail on this so that we can finish up with the rest of the demo. So, yeah, what I've got here is the pre-baked version. Yeah, we'll let it spin in the background. Maybe we can come back to it at the end. Yeah, so this is the pre-baked version, just the final demo. And what we have to do is go into the Knox Capture app. And here we've got a scanning profile that tells the Knox Capture, okay, once you've scanned a barcode, well, what should you do with it? So we're going to switch this from single scan mode to multi-scan mode. And there's a number of different ways we can use multi-scan. We're going to go with automatic, but there's also batch. There's the ability to go in and select, if you're scanning multiple barcodes, go and select just the ones that you want. But we're going to just go ahead with the automatic scanning. And then the most important part is back on this screen. We have to tell it, okay, which app or apps to launch. In this case, the Devtoberfest final, just the final pre-baked version, and then this flow action. I don't know if you remember from back at the very beginning. When we set up our scanning profile, we specified flow action as the action that we would be responding to on that intent. So let me go back over to the warehouse. Actually, yeah. I'm going to go and log in again. There's a product list, and what the Xcover 6 has is this dedicated button on the side, which we can use to launch the barcode scanner. So here you can see it, and granted those are pretty big barcodes, but it's getting all three of the barcodes. And then when I go to scan, it's going to run a filter, and nothing is coming up. That should display a list of all three products. Filtering on something. Let's try relaunching. Seems like all of my products are suddenly gone. Anyway, that's not what was supposed to happen. But yeah, wouldn't be a demo if something didn't go a little wrong. Anyway. Yeah, so go ahead now and hand it back to Bill for to talk a little bit about the MDK. Hopefully he'll have a little bit better luck than I did.
All right, thanks, Mark. I'm going to go ahead and take over sharing here. All right. So in the second part of today's session, we're going to go ahead and follow along with what Mark was doing and create a mobile development kit application to do a similar scanning process for the warehouse. In today's session, we're going to be using the, I don't have a fancy camera, so I'm just using an iPhone here to share. So we've got a Zebra, it's a TC77 device. It's got dedicated hardware scan buttons on the side, and we'll be using that to scan our inventory shelves here, and using the laser scanner as part of the demo. So if I come back to this from an MDK perspective, we'll be using the standard MDK applications to build our application using build code and create that and deploy that and then run that. And so we'll add all that in and get started right now. So go ahead and switch over to build code here. And from the build code lobby, we can go ahead and just create our application. So we can create a brand new application, or we can clone it from an existing repository. I've got a repository created, but that we can take a look at, but we could also go through this way. So if I say next, create a mobile application. And then we need to give it a name. So this is my Devtoberfest 2025. And go ahead and create. And so it's going to create, in this case, just an empty project for us. And then from here, we would be able to run the wizard to create our application. For the application, we'll be using the sample service that's part of mobile services. And so we've got our list of products there, and we'll have some information. Now the wizard will automatically create the application, but we may want to clean that up a little afterwards just to make sure we're highlighting the right fields, which is why I've gone ahead and pre-created that and stored that in a repo here. So once my environment opens here, it's opening my build code editor. I'll be able to then go ahead and just copy or clone that into the repository so that we can start with a little quicker starting point here. So while this is finishing activating everything out, we'll go ahead and open our terminal. We'll go ahead and clone our repository. And what we see here on the left is now our standard application. This is the standard structure of our MDK application. Our pages, our rules, our services, referencing the sample service, and our application. So because we've created this from the template, I used the CRUD template in the business build code. I've got an application that I can go ahead and deploy. So I'm going to go ahead and right click and deploy on this. And as it finishes loading, it should go ahead and pop up here and start our deploy in just a second. As Mark said, to get a love live coding here. So we will try that again. Haven't loaded that, so okay. Well, something's not loading correctly. Let me do a quick refresh of my browser. Hopefully that will fix this. And we can get going. So what we're going to do here is, as we get after we get our first version of the app deployed out there, we're going to go ahead and add in a page for inventory scanning. And we'll be able to then, once we got that page to track the inventory that we're scanning as it for an account, we'll go ahead and add in the scanning capabilities to tie that in. using that laser scanner on our Zebra. So. Okay. Well, we seem to be having some technical difficulties with our environment here today, unfortunately. So let's go ahead and see what we can do from a troubleshooting standpoint. So the first thing I'll do is let me just delete my project information and have it re-prompt me hopefully for that, just as I do a deploy again. Okay, well, let's go back and try I've got a test app that I had set up previously. Let me see if this one will open up correctly here. Not, we'll do a quick stop and start of our dev space and see if that fixes the problem for us. Okay, so see if we can get this to reset. Okay, well, then our other option is let's go ahead and start over one more time. So let's create our new app. Something seems to be amiss. This time I'll go ahead and just clone directly from the repository. But I'm going to go ahead and create a new space here. So this will take slightly longer because I will need to create my dev space the first time before it's able to create the project. So this will take just a little bit longer, hopefully. And then we should be hopefully back in business. So while this is waiting, what we're going to do is actually, ultimately, when we get further along, we'll be linking in the scanner from the Zebra using the built-in intent sharing. So the Zebra has an application called Data Wedge, which allows us to configure applications to receive the scanning intents. And so if I go ahead and pull up the app here while we're waiting. In our Data Wedge application, I've defined a profile here that defines, in this particular case, what applications are going to receive the intents. And so I've got my Devtoberfest application in there. And then more importantly, when we scroll down here, the intent output, here is the definition of the intent action that we're going to send. So when that runs, that's going to go ahead and send the intent across. And that will be what we receive from our application. Grab some credentials real quick here. Jumping back across then. So as I was saying, we've got our intent definition of what we're going to send. It'll send that to our MDK application, and then from there we'll be able to receive that and process it, the scan in the MDK application. So for that, we're going to go ahead and register some intents. And then once we've got those intents registered, we'll go ahead and be able to receive those. So let me just pull those up externally here. Make this a little bigger. So here's an example of registering for an intent. We'll go ahead and create a rule here, and this rule will register to receive that intent along with a callback, and we'll have a callback that it was an example of that here. And then we'll have our scanner manager, which is our class, which will initialize and have the appropriate methods for initializing it on suspend, on resume. And then we also can do a send intent, which is the opposite direction, where we're going to send the intent from the MDK app to the data wedge to enable the scanner from a software button. So rather than using the hardware button on the side, we'll use the software button in the MDK app to trigger the scanner from our search bar. And so we've created a class here for my Zebra scanner. And so you can see I've got that same scan event intent defined. And inside that intent there, then down here at the bottom, we've got our register with our callback. So we've registered the receiver, we've got the callback, and that scan, hardware scan occurs, we'll receive it, and we're in turn, we'll do an MDK custom event. We'll format that data and trigger a custom event from an MDK perspective. And then on the page, we'll go ahead and process that and add that item into our list. So let's go ahead and check real quick to see how we're doing. So we're inside of our environment now. So our storyboard is loading up here. And we should be ready to go. So let's go ahead and try deploying the application. Okay. Cross our fingers one more time. Yep. And okay. All right. So we're gonna move to an alternate path here. So we'll take the same application and oops, still activating. Maybe we're still waiting. Let's see if we can open up a page. Nope. All right. Well, then we can try. Looks like this isn't going to work either. So let me try just completely switching environments here. So I'll try, I'm going to start up a different environment here. Maybe there's something with the network going across to Europe tonight. I am based here in the US, and that environment I was connecting to is over in Europe. So let me try a different environment here and see if I can get, I won't have quite the same capabilities. Oh, it looks like it's maybe starting to work here, which is good. Okay. So here we go. So I have to log into my environment so I can connect to mobile services. Perfect. All right, and now I can deploy. Oh, good. All right, so now it's deploying my application. This is that template application that I talked about where I've just gone and done a couple of adjustments to the pages to make them look, pick different fields to default in terms of where they're rendering. So it's gone ahead and deployed that. So if I go back now to my client here and I check for metadata, it's going to find that deployment that we just did. And it's going to go ahead and load that here up on my client. So we'll let that run. Looks like we must have some network issues here because that's taking an extremely long time for that. So while that's running, we'll leave that hopefully connecting. Let's go ahead and just continue making the changes to our application. So we could use Joule and give it a prompt, but because we're running out of time, I'm going to go ahead and skip that. I'm just going to go ahead and import in a page for that where I've created it. So let's go ahead and drag and drop those in. So I'm going to bring in a page for my inventory scanning. And so this page has an object table where we're going to go ahead and instead of targeting an OData collection, because we're scanning these on the fly, I'm just going to build a list of the items that we've scanned in memory. And then normally at the end, you would add a process to update your stock or something. But in this case, we're going to use a rule. Oh, I don't have my rule in here yet. So I need to bring in my rule. So I bring in a couple rules here. Adding in a rule to clear my scanned items list, as well as to get the list of items. So we're retrieving our list of items from our in-memory app client data. And that's just an array of the scanned objects. And in the case, we're also, the rule will also go ahead and search for, if we're using the standard search capabilities, it'll look to see if the name, category, or supplier matches what we've typed into the search as a case insensitive, and it's going to sort it in a descending based on the last date that we scanned something. So we've got our page, we've got our rules, 2 rules here, and then we're going to go ahead and we need to hook this up to our main page of our application. So let me open up that page. And so I'm going to go ahead and add in a button table here at the top, and I'm going to throw in another button. Put 2 buttons in here. One to go ahead and call my scan, load up the page for scanning inventory. And for this one, we're going to use our generic navigation action. And we're going to go ahead and override that. And instead of calling the generic page, we're going to pick our scan page that we just created. And the second button here, we're going to go ahead and use to clear the list. So we're storing that list, persisting that list in the applications that we can go in and out. Scanned items. And this one we're going to call our rule to clear the scanned items list. Okay. So now that we've got the page, we'll be able to navigate to that. Go ahead and relaunch this and see if that makes that work better. And then additionally, now we need to hook up our scanning. So to do that, we've got some more rules that we're going to drag in. So I've pre-created, as we were looking at there, that scanner manager, as well as the event data received, which we'll talk about here in just a second. So my scanner manager consists of the manager itself, as well as some wrapper rules to call the different functions for resume, suspend, initialize, and start scanning. And so we're going to go ahead and hook those up into our application. So I'm going to go to my application.app. And the client is now downloading as we go here. So in the application.app, we've got our three rules that we need to hook into, the initialize, the suspend, and the resume. So for suspend and resume, I just need to go ahead and link to those rules that I've written. And those rules, we'll take a look at those in just a second here. So these are just the wrappers. So it's importing the scanner manager, and we're calling the appropriate method within the scanner manager, in this case, the on resume or the on suspend. For my initialize, since I have an initialize rule already, we're going to go ahead and need to modify that. So we're going to go ahead and go to open up that rule, your service, and initialize. And we're going to go ahead and import in the rule. So we're going to import my scanner initialize rule. And we're just going to call scanner initialize and pass in the context to initialize the scanner when the app starts up. So we've hooked in now our initialize, we've hooked in our on resume and on suspend, and now we need to look at our handling of the event. So when we looked at the scanner manager earlier, we have our callback. So when our callback is triggered, we're going to create a data block with the scan value and the format, and we're going to trigger and execute a custom event. That custom event is going to get sent, and we're going to use our event received rule to process that. So, and this rule is going to get attached to my scanner manager page, or the inventory scan page under events here. Okay, we have our on custom data event received. And so this is where that rule is tied into the page. So it will trigger the event received when that event is triggered from the callback. We're going to get the data from the event. We're going to look up the list of scanned items. We're going to see if the scanned value already exists in the list. If it does, we'll simply increment the quantity. And if not, we'll go ahead and add it to the list by creating a new item and adding it to the array. And if for some reason the scanned value doesn't exist in our list of products, we'll just display an error message. So we've tied that in there. And then the other area that we're tying it in is on the inventory scan page under searching. We're overriding the scan press event to trigger an intent back to the device to turn on the scanner. So now we've kind of got that all wired up into the application, but here on the right, we can see our application. So we've got the ability to, for example, see our list of products. So there's our list of products that we're gonna count inventory for. We can see the stock levels for all those products, what the current quantity is that we expect to see on the shelf. And now we need to redeploy this so that we can see the changes that we made to add the inventory scan page. So let's go ahead and hit deploy. It's going to deploy that to mobile services. And then we'll come back here to our application and we'll look for updates. So as soon as that shows me the deploy completed, tell me the revisions out there, revision 18, I can check for updates. And we'll go ahead and apply that. And we now see our scanner is initialized and we have our scan inventory page and the cleared scanned items. So if I open my inventory page, there's nothing there. So let me grab my camera. So now here on the device, I'll be using the hardware button to trigger the scanner there. And as I scan a value, it adds it to the list. So the intent was delivered to the device and the device added it to the list. So I can go down very quickly and just scan items on my inventory. So I can do a quick inventory of my wall and we can see there everything that it found. So it found all the matches. If I scan something that isn't found, for example, like my Coke can, product not found, matching the value. So there we added the laser scanning using the intent delivery from the Zebra data wedge. We could do a similar thing, and we'll be looking at adding in support for like the ProGlove that Mark was showing. You could do similar things for NFC scanners or other scanners as well, depending upon what kind of devices you have. So all this was done without needing a custom client. We could run this with the standard client from the Play Store. You may need to create, depending upon what scanning you're integrating with, you may need to create an extension to link in the appropriate scanner libraries, and then that would be specific to the device that you're working with there. So apologize for the technical difficulties there, but we were able to get all that working, which is great. And at this point, I think we're ready to go ahead and wrap up here. So I want to go ahead and thank everyone for attending and turn it back over.
Hey everyone, great job, Mark and Bill. Y'all did a wonderful job, and as always, troubleshooting live is difficult, and y'all did great. Congratulations. Thank you for everyone who watched today. And I hope you all are enjoying Devtoberfest 2025. We've got a ton more events coming up, and we hope to see you in those as well. Thanks again, Mark and Bill. Happy Devtoberfest, and as always, happy coding.
Right.
All right.